And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another psychology lesson to go ahead and go through. And this is going to be less of like a rant and more of just like a check-in just to see where you guys are at in terms of your actual learning process. I understand that each of you guys are at a slightly different level in your journey. Some of you are coming into this with no previous trading knowledge whatsoever. Some of you have a beginner understanding and some of you are intermediate and advanced. Some of you guys have been trading for a while. But whatever your scenario, I just want to make sure that you are actually making progress. This is not about just consuming information. It's not just about watching the videos 1 or 2 times and then practicing 1 or 2 times and then thinking you got it. It's not about going through all of these videos and then saying you did something, and it's not about saying you did something, and it's not about just going out there and taking a bunch of trades solely just to make money or to try to get lucky. The goal is to make progress, to develop a deeper understanding where you lacked one before, to have a better process where you lacked one before, to have better results than you had before, and to have more knowledge and more understanding than you had before. So as long as that's happening, we are moving in the correct direction. If that is not the case, then we need to make some adjustments. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first group of you guys are within the group where you don't have a strategy coming into this. So when you started on day 1, this is either the first strategy you've ever decided to explore, or you've decided that the strategy you were using previously is probably not the strategy that's going to get you to your ultimate goal. So either case, you decided to start fresh and take on a new strategy, a new way of viewing the markets, a new way of thinking about the markets. So in this case, the question you need to ask yourself, 27 modules in, is are you getting more confident in the strategy? So are you improving on your ability to predict the daily bias? Are you improving on your ability to predict the daily draw on liquidity or the intraday draw on liquidity? Are your entries becoming more precise than they were before, better timed than they were before? And is your risk management working to keep your losses smaller than your wins? And are your exits and trade management allowing you to keep your wins bigger than your losses? Because this is all stuff that's going to lay the foundation of confidence and profitability within your actual system. And if the answer to those questions are no, then you want to address these things one at a time. So if you're not confident in the strategy, the first step you need to do is master the first step of the strategy, which is higher time frame bias. So what you need to do at this point is go back to the daily bias and draw on liquidity video, watch it again, take notes or review your notes if you already did, and then hit the charts, guys. You need to backtest. You need to be backtesting. You need to be also forward testing. So in that video as well, we have a drill where we take a before and after screenshot. You should be saving those. That should be organized in a folder or in a Notion or a spreadsheet with your notes and your annotations, and you want to explain why you thought it was going there. What made you make that decision? What PD arrays did you draw out that you think it was going to draw to? And how did it ultimately play out? Did you predict it correctly? Did you not predict it correctly? Over time, you should see an improvement on the amount of times you're able to predict the daily direction. And if you don't see that number going up, you simply need to backtest more, you simply need to forward test more, and you need to drill your understanding of the concepts through being on the charts. Not by taking trades, not by full porting, not by trying to get a prop firm challenge. You are not even close to being ready for any of that if you're still on daily bias, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that is bad. I'm saying take your time so you actually understand it and you're not just saying, oh, daily bias, and then you full port and then you wonder why it went wrong. So understand that is the foundation to all of these strategies. That is the foundation to any successful strategy is can you form bias and can you predict the next intraday draw on liquidity? And once you've mastered that, the question you ask yourself is, are your entries becoming more precise, better timed? Are you taking entries from better levels? Are they playing out faster? How's your risk management? How are your take profits? You need to be journaling all of this as well. And over time, you should start to see your entries get better, more precise, you can make your stop losses tighter, you can manage your risk better, and your winners are going to be bigger as well. And that should be the trajectory. If you ever run into a week where it's not as precise, you need to identify exactly why. Were you hesitating? Were you chasing entries instead of letting it come to your level? Were you picking the wrong levels? What was the actual cause of that effect? And how do you fix it in the future? Not in theory, not with thoughts or feelings, with actual, real, tangible actions. And this is the actual process of improvement. This is the actual thinking with your brain that nobody wants to do. They just want to wake up and think with their emotions and throw money at a chart. But as we know, that's not what we're trying to develop here, guys. Now, once you've surpassed that point of being confident in the strategy, so once you've reached that level of progress where the technicals are making sense, it's starting to click, you have a good win rate, you're managing risk correctly, and you're starting to become profitable, or you're at the very entry level of being profitable. And at that point, you need to be tracking slightly different metrics. You're still journaling your examples, you're still trying to deepen your understanding of technicals, but you are also focused more on discipline, on sitting out of okay setups so you can get the great setups, and also protecting the downside, because at this point you have more to lose. So you actually have to protect it more as well. And a question you can ask yourself is, on a week-to-week basis, are you making less mistakes? Are you taking less non-system trades that don't fit your plan? Are you sitting out of bad trades? Are you not FOMOing in or not chasing entries? As you move forward, each and every week, each and every day, each and every month, you should be cutting down on the amount of mistakes you're making. Now, obviously not every week is going to be perfect. Not every time are you going to be able to operate perfectly every single time. But you do not need to be perfect to be profitable. All you have to do is be improving over time. The only way you do that is to track your results over time. So you should be looking at this a lot closer than you think. A lot of people just kind of waste all their time, guys. Like, I don't understand how people think they're not going to track anything and then actually get better. Like, you don't even remember what the fuck you did yesterday. How are you going to do it again today? How are you going to do it in next week if you didn't even remember in the last 24 hours? It's a miracle to me. It makes no sense whatsoever, and I myself used to do that for fucking years and years and years, never getting a step better. But the one thing that I can tell you is I never slacked on journaling. I might have slacked on journaling when I was supposed to journal it, but eventually I would always reach a point where I was like, fuck, bro, I just blew 50 accounts this week. I should probably look at that journal unless I want to do it all over again. And I would sit there, I'd dive back in the pain, I'd go through every example, I'd go scroll through my orders and find the time of every execution. I'd narrow it down to exactly how much money I lost and exactly what I was trying to do and why what I was trying to do didn't work. And I would actually go through the process of figuring it out. And every single time I did that, regardless if I went on to blow more accounts, I would blow far less accounts. I would get way closer to where I was trying to go. There were noticeable improvements in the actual data that were actually showing. And even though I was fucked at the time, even though I had no money, even though I was still losing every day, still losing money, at least I knew that I was getting a little bit better. At least I knew my stats were improving little by little, and all I had to do was keep adding 1% better stats, 1% better stats, and eventually I'd be at where I needed to be at. So trading is a game of making progress. The only way to make progress is to track progress, and the only way to track progress is if you're actually going in with intention instead of trying to gamble. So ask yourself these questions if you're at either of those stages. And another thing you want to ask yourself is, are you passing up on more trades in order to focus on the A+ setups? Are you getting better at filtering out the bad setups? And you also want to start tracking how many losses did you avoid? How many times did you avoid a fake out? And what did you do to spot that fake out? And what did you do to avoid it? And then ask yourself, are you less anxious now stepping away from the charts or sitting out than you were before? Or are you still trying to FOMO in? Because these are now the areas you need to make progress. It's the emotional areas, the discipline areas, chasing trades, FOMO. So you're managing your actual behavior now. So the improvements have to be in behavior now versus before they were in technical understanding. But of course you need both. First comes the technicals because you have to learn the process. Then when you master the technicals, it becomes solely a behavior management game. So reflect on this video, reflect on those questions, reflect on your actual data, your actual journal as well, and make sure, guys, that you are always making an improvement. You should never be going into a week blind or with the same insights that you had the week before. And if you stick to this process, it does not matter how many times you fail because you will always be getting 1% better. So comment down below. Day 27 complete. Let me know what you learned out of this lesson, and also let me know what stage of progress you're at right now and what you're going to do to get to the next stage. Have a blessed night, and I will see you in the next one.